So a common question that we have with a lot of our athletes or casual athletes that work out on the weekends are, should you be wearing your orthotics while you're working out? Now, this is kind of a loaded question, and for the most part, I would say yes, though there are some activities or some distance runners in some situations where I'll actually say no, and it kind of depends on your shoe and exactly what your injury is. But let's just assume that the answer is yes, and we can kind of talk about why some of those situations it's really good for you to have that orthotic on. Now, when we're talking about strength training or lifting and those types of things, I know that there's a lot of people out there that like to do that activity barefoot. And the reason being is that they want to be able to feel kind of their feet underneath them, and they feel like they have more control over their body at the time. That's totally reasonable, and I do think that it's very important for you to kind of understand and know your body position during these strength training exercises. Form is extremely important to prevent injury. That is why I always do those activities with my orthotics in. The reason is that I'm extremely flat-footed. So my default, what my body wants to do is my arch collapse and my knees to turn in. This leaves me very prone and susceptible to a knee injury, and I also get chronic hip pain. The orthotics in my shoes help cue my foot to internally rotate and actually for that knees to stay in that neutral position and help my hips externally rotate. So it keeps me in better alignment. I am not sacrificing, the proprioception or the control that my body has. It's just another cue to my body to help me have that good form. Now, there are some situations where we don't use orthotics at all, like yoga. In those types of situations, you need that flexibility in your foot, and you might need to make some alterations to some of those poses because of foot pain or conditions, but it's quite difficult to really execute yoga appropriately with shoes and with an orthotic on. So I give everybody a hard pass on yoga, and if you're having pain while doing yoga because of your feet, well then yoga's just not the right thing for you at that time. Now, running is where it gets really complicated because depending on our distance, our stride and our activity level during the run significantly changes. And so we start to fatigue and our form sometimes gets sacrificed or it just changes. And so our orthotic is going to be targeting different things. For my runners, I do promote an orthotic most of the time, but it's a little bit different of a style. Whereas strength training, we want that stiff orthotic underneath us to help hold our form with that extra weight, with that precision of moving our joints in specific ways. We're not having high impact during those activities. During running, there is impact and our body is responding to those ground forces coming up against us. For that reason, I make those orthotics slightly more flexible, but mostly just on that medial column or only on that arch area. So it allows our body to have a little bit of compensation mechanisms when we're fatiguing and when our form is starting to sacrifice. So in general, you can use these orthotics vice versa, strength training and running, but I really don't want you to use your strength training orthotic for running. You can cheat and maybe use your running orthotic for some strength training, but if you're a really hardcore athlete, you might actually just want different orthotics because we're really targeting different aspects of your body and responding differently to the ground below us differently during these activities. Now, cycling is something that's obviously gotten super popular, and I have tried to use my more running orthotic inside my cycling shoe, and it really just didn't work. Like I said, I have really, really flat feet, and so when I get sloppy on the bike, my knees tend to start to go in, which of course leaves me susceptible to a injury. I did switch over to a specific cycling orthotic. So cycling orthotics are designed completely different than any other orthotic, and you should not use them with any other activity than cycling. Now, is it necessary if you're a cycler to have a cycling orthotic? Maybe not. It kind of depends on your foot type and if you've had a past injury and what your body needs to respond to improve your form. So that's a very specific orthotic that if you are a big cycler and you're having issues, then you should probably call us and and talk to us, because I don't want you interchanging your orthotics in those types of activities. It's just not going to work out for you. So, moral of the story is, should you be working out with your orthotics? For the vast majority of us, yes, it is safe to do that and preferred to do that. With some of our more extreme athletes, it's a little bit more nuanced on when and when not to use those orthotics. So if you have any questions, I love working with athletes at all ages. I do treat a lot of kids who are very competitive and work them through their orthotic struggles. So give us a call at Third Coast Foot and Ankle, and we will get your feet moving.